JP Morosi joins us from the GM meetings out west. Daybreak at La Costa, no finer place to be on the planet as far as I'm concerned. Hey, this is interesting, JP. I think a lot of people that follow the Angels closely, it's not a secret that starting pitching is at the very top of the wish list, and they're starting with two of the top candidates on the market here.
Matt, I really think if you name a major starting pitcher available either in free agency or trade this winter, Perry Minasian is speaking about that player. The Angels know that they are probably two starting pitchers away from potentially winning a division in the American League West. Obviously, they still have to watch Ohtani's workload entering 2022. They did see some steps taken forward by the likes of Sandoval and Suarez, but they certainly need to add one, if not two, impact arms. So Robbie Ray might be the top free agent pitcher out there this winter. Eduardo Rodriguez as well. We saw how well he pitched for the Red Sox down the stretch. And the likes of the veterans in Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. Of course, interesting, Verlander does spend a lot of time out in California nowadays, and Scherzer did pitch for the Dodgers at the end of the season, so maybe two pitchers there who are quite familiar with Southern California right now.
Well, let me ask you this, because between just three guys, between Trout, Rendon, and Upton, you're talking about a massive future payroll commitment. How much flexibility do the Angels have moving forward to add, type A frontline guys, the likes of which you just talked about?
Well, it's an excellent question, Matt, and certainly we have seen the Angels in the past be very aggressive in investing in free agent talent, a lot of different signings over the years under Artie Moreno. But to your point, you think about what a Shohei Ohtani extension might look like, and the decimal points and the dollar signs on that one is going to be extraordinary. He hasn't even signed it yet, so it's not even on the books at this moment in time. I think you look at the free agent market, and perhaps, Matt, what I would say is that the Angels could go the route of trading for one starter and then signing the other. I certainly don't necessarily think they're going to get both Ray and Rodriguez, but if you want to hedge your expenses a bit, perhaps you sign, maybe you sign even one of the big guys. If it's going to be more than $20 million a year for the likes of a Ray or perhaps a Verlander or a Scherzer, and then perhaps trade for the other one. And one name I know we're going to talk about this morning, Luis Castillo of the Reds.
So let me ask you this, JP. Are they feeling the heat that the window's closing on Trout's prime years and really control of Ohtani? That, hey, we need to get this done?
I think so, Harold. And you look at Houston, and certainly they were able to extend their window of winning this year in a very extraordinary way, getting to the World Series. We see the Seattle Mariners taking steps forward, and they're going to be a team that we watch very closely this winter after, by the way, the Mariners, one of my favorite stats of all, the Mariners won one more game than the Braves did during the regular season. Let's not forget that. That's how good the Mariners were this season. And so they're getting better and better. The A's, perhaps a bit of a retool we could see from them here in the next several weeks or months. But I really think the Angels are looking up at this moment at the Astros and the Mariners in particular, with all the Mariners' young talent coming into focus, and perhaps they're one major player away from being a division champion in their own right. I do think, Harold, that you look at Mike Trout, we know the stats very well, one playoff appearance throughout the course of his career. The urgency is there for them to get the most out of Trout following what was an injury-shortened season for Mike.
Boy, it's a great perspective note on the Mariners' win total, too. You did a nice job foreshadowing your own talking point moving forward, and that is Luis Castillo of the Reds. Among teams potentially reworking or retooling, the Reds are thought to be one of those. We've seen an opt-out already from Nick Castellanos. Is there a willingness to engage teams in trade talks for Castillo?
There is. And, Matt, when you look at the numbers of this past year, Luis Castillo was one of the very best starting pitchers in all of baseball from the beginning of June onward. He was outstanding down the stretch. You see his numbers for the full season. Yes, 16 losses, but that number masks what I think was an extraordinary bounce back for him in the second half of the year. So I mentioned the Angels. Could they put a Brandon Marsh in a deal to get Luis Castillo? I would mention a couple teams that we saw playing in the ALCS this year, both Houston and Boston, needing some starting pitching help. We saw that be evident for them given how many openers they were using. Could Castillo go to either Boston or the Astros? Any contending team, I would say, gentlemen, is a team that's going to be looking at Luis Castillo. The Mariners are one more option. I think they're a team that perhaps is one starting pitcher short, but we're seeing a lot of competition now, especially on the American League side, to really take that next step and perhaps put themselves in a pennant-winning position. Luis Castillo, given how he pitched in the second half this year, could take any team a long distance toward that goal.
We're going to get a lot of traction talking trade with teams like the Reds. We're going to get a lot of traction this winter talking about this free agent shortstop class. And Marcus Semien is at the highlight, the headline of it. Once again, signed to that one-year deal that really helped the Toronto Blue Jays accomplish what they did last year. Where are we drawing lines between Semien and his next employer?
Well, Matt, one team I heard yesterday is the Seattle Mariners, and why they are so intriguing is they like J.P. Crawford as shortstop, but Semien could go to second base with Seattle, and then perhaps they move Abraham Toro to third with Ty France at first. A lot of movement on that infield in recent years. Of course, Kyle Seager likely moving on, but Semien, an MVP finalist, and very thoroughly deserved based on his incredible production this past season. One team I would mention as well, the Yankees. And we talk about where Gleyber Torres could play going forward. Semien in New York would be back to shortstop. And so there's probably a sliding scale. Does Semien want to play shortstop? Does he want to play closer to his home in the Bay Area? All different possible things for him to consider. But I think in general, what we know is that there's going to be a lot of demand for Semien at both short and second base.